Please excuse the title if it's corny to you. I was struggling to think of what to title this and I just said screw it. It's been over a year since I dropped the song and I'm happy to say that I Am Too Hot. I'm Too Hot is now out on music. It's a new song. I'm very proud of it. Go give it a listen. You can do so right now. Then you can come back to this video for some juice on what's been happening with me. And don't worry, I'll stay right here. I won't disappear anywhere for a whole other year again. Probably. I think it's kind of funny that the last thing I put out was a right-wing meme version of I'm Just Ken, but I do want to say that I'm sorry for the delay. Different college, take it slow, and many others will come. Trust. I know that's rich coming from me, but rest assured, I am working on them. For those that don't know, I took down 70% of my music catalog after coming back to the Catholic Church. So why was I gone for so long? That's, complicated. And not in the what does this girl mean to me type complicated. I mean like what's the purpose of my life type complicated. For context, around the time when the BLM riots started happening, I think a lot of Gen Z started getting more invested in politics. This led me down a lot of rabbit holes because no one ever formed me in the wisdom of the ages. It's because of this that I started watching less anime, which was what I marketed my music off of, and I started getting more absorbed into politics. I was addicted to absorbing knowledge, and because a lot of this was new to me and I found it to be shocking that I wasn't aware of so much when I was in high school, I felt a strong pull to talk about it, make content about it. Kind of like when you watch a real good movie and now you want to tell all the people that you care about it. That's why my Instagram started leading into a lot of politics and life advice, which of course leaked into my music. And this was also around the time that I started exploring religion, because religion is, after all, a claim on reality and the reality of morality. It's the root of practically everything, especially politics and social issues, even though some might not want to admit that. This is linked to the reason I dropped a few songs that some of y'all might have found corny, and I'm not gonna complain, that's fair. After all, I myself find a lot of explicitly political pop music very corny, as well as explicitly religious pop music. I do think a lot of that music is very corny. The good news is I won't be making that type of music, and I will explain why, but before that, I think you guys should know that I struggle with a type of OCD called scrupulosity. I want to mention this because some of y'all might be upset that the remastered versions of Levi Scented Lust and a few other songs had their lyrics changed more than was necessary. And that sort of has to do with my scrupulosity. Well, what's scrupulosity? Well, scrupulosity can be defined as an anxious concern that one's actions might be sinful when in fact they're not. Do you see how this could have led me to changing more than was necessary in my lyrics? Change that didn't have to change. Some of these lyrics didn't intrinsically go against Christianity, but I ended up changing the lyrics more than I had to because I relied on my own understanding, like my own denomination, rather than going by the teachings of the church that Christ established, the Catholic Church. If a Christian ever tells you that parties are sinful, or dressing up as a skeleton is sinful, or that drinking alcohol is sinful, tell him he's wrong. He could try to twist a Bible verse to fit his narrative, but at the end of the day, that's his opinion, his own private interpretation. And he has no authority to forbid things, to bind things, unlike the apostolic successors in the Catholic Church, which, by the way, doesn't forbid you from parties. So long as you're not actually sinning. You can dress as a skeleton. I have a skull right here in my desk because memento mori is a Catholic tradition. And you can drink alcohol as long as you don't abuse it. And if you're old enough, of course. If the church hasn't declared something as sinful, then you're fine. This goes with prudence, of course. And I wish someone told me that before I re-released Levi Scented Lust and a whole bunch of other songs. Don't get me wrong, there were some actual immoral sentences in those lyrics. I'm just saying, I think I changed more than I had to, and I do apologize for that. Also, if you think you struggle from scrupulosity, I highly recommend this book, Scruples and Sainthood by Trent Beatty. I'm not sponsored by him, it's just that this book was a life changer for me. Okay, but why was I gone for so long? I honestly think it was a mixture of me having horrible time management, which I'm still trying to get better at, as well as getting TMJ and wanting to stop using autotune. TMJ, by the way, is temporomandibular joint dysfunction. The TMJ I had pretty much didn't let me like open my mouth all the way. And I am still healing from that, but I can now open my mouth big enough where I can sing better now. The healing method is really just this, like massaging my cheeks, like pushing down hard and stuff. Yeah, there you go. And opening more and more. Yeah, it sucks, but I'm getting better. But not wanting to use autotune anymore probably did delay my music more than it had to, because I am really not a great singer. I think I have a good voice, but I can't control it very well. I don't have perfect pitch. I'm not one of those singers who trained their vocal cords since like being a kid. I didn't even know I had an objectively nice voice for singing until like right after high school. But I'm gonna be transparent with y'all because we all have things we can control. I also just haven't put in the practice. I could be practicing more diligently. I could be putting more time in it, but I haven't. I've wasted an insane amount of time scrolling and doing other stuff that was a waste of time. But I'm not gonna sell myself too short. I also did choose to invest my time in other things that were productive. After all, I do make my songs practically completely from scratch. Let's see here. I produce them, I mix them, compose them, write lyrics, record all myself, master it, and of course, then I have to market the music, which is a whole different set of things. And I do that all myself. So I am gonna cut myself a little bit of slack. But I can do better. We can always do better. I'm just trying to be transparent with you. Now, I did decide that I'm still gonna be using autotune. I don't care. I started to care because I met a lot of people in politics who just genuinely could not stand the sound of autotune. And that was a shock to me because in the area that I grew up, I thought I had like the best music taste ever. And autotune was rarely, if never, a complaint. But when you meet people who predominantly listen to music that's not so urban, I guess, you're gonna feel like your stuff sucks. That's legit how I felt because so many of my new friends were not fans of my music. And don't get me wrong, I think I had so much room to improve, and I think I still do, but when your songs aren't even worthy of being added to a playlist by a lot of your friends, everyone does have their own music taste though, of course, and I am grateful when people give me their honest thoughts about my music instead of being fake about it. I can always learn something and I can use it as an opportunity to brainstorm what I can do to attract all kinds of music tastes. However, I do want to make it clear, I do want to focus on the type of pop that I've been making. I refuse to lose my style. And that gets us to why I won't be making explicitly religious or political music, pop music, explicitly religious or political pop music anymore. I just really find a lot of it corny. Not all, but a lot of it. I don't want to write lyrics that are explicitly religious or political. I could. Honestly, it's very easy for me to do that sort of stuff. And it could be a decent income stream for me because I already have a whole lot of people that tune into me for my explicitly Catholic content. But I want to make music that can attract all kinds of people. Now, some scrupulous people might criticize me for this, and I already know all my rebuttals. I'll crush your arguments, but I'm trying to keep this video short, so I'll just say this. Don't get me wrong, the greatest decision I've ever made in my life has been to come back to Catholicism. Hands down. I firmly believe the teachings themselves are perfect love. Christ himself, the cure to everything. So my goal is to help as many people as I can into the body of Christ, the Catholic Church. I've just learned that there's many ways to help the seed of the gospel grow in people. I can make a love song or a party song that doesn't break any teachings of Christ. And just like that, I am providing a good to the humans who enjoy it. Also, I get my songs reviewed by a priest. A priest who's in full communion with the Catholic Church, of course. And when people want to learn more about me, I will be doing videos explaining the meaning of my lyrics. And I do run a separate account for explicitly Catholic content where I talk about morality, approaching social issues, and using philosophy, history, science, etc., proving that God gave us the Catholic Church. By the way, you probably noticed that I keep using the word explicit. That's because all music that I create is still Catholic. All good comes from God. So while my songs from now on may not be explicitly Catholic, they're still Catholic. Okay, now time for some Q&A based on questions I selected from the ones I received on my music Instagram. What do you do to get inspiration for a new song? It's usually pretty random, but I think the first thing I prioritize is like deciding what topic I'm going to make the song about. And of course, trying to make sure that the topic fits the instrumental. Now, if we want to go further back and like inspiration on the instrumental, well, I mean, I just kind of do what I think sounds good. There's been times where I really like a certain song and I'm like, dude, I really want to make something that's like kind of similar to this, but obviously I don't want to copy it, but I do want to like kind of keep up this sort of vibe type thing. Like maybe I like the structure or something. And so that's what I'll do. Like that, maybe that could count as an inspiration. So yeah, I usually start making the instrumental, the beat, and then I start making the lyrics. Now, regarding the inspiration on lyrics, I find it that it's easier for me to think of lyrics when I'm talking about something that's real in my personal life. But sometimes I feel like writing about a story that maybe doesn't have to do with my life, or maybe not yet. Were you always into producing music? I started making beats in my senior year of high school using Premiere Pro. I was using Premiere Pro at that time to make anime music videos, which I'm sure a lot of you guys know about. I didn't know what music software to use, and I didn't grow up with big money, so I was looking for free software. So I ended up grabbing kick samples and other samples off of YouTube that I could find. I put that into Premiere Pro, and that's how I started trying to make beats. I later found a free software called Traction that I really liked, which is what I used to make a lot of the songs that I blew up with. And I later bought the full version, Traction Waveform, once the money was coming in. Which bands and artists influenced your sound most? The Weeknd and Michael Jackson. Hands down. Specifically, Michael Jackson's most popular songs and The Weeknd's old stuff, actually. I do get influence from his new stuff too, but his old stuff, I just love that type of sound. This is not me approving of any immoral lyrics. I'm just talking about the melodies and sounds. Remember that evil is not a thing. It's real, but it's not a thing. It's a lack of what's been created, a distortion of what's been created. So dear scrupulous people, please be careful before you start calling The Weeknd's bass line satanic. How often can we expect new music? If you've supported me this long, I seriously am so grateful. I received a comment on a post where I promoted I'm Too Hot in my religious page, and this comment said, "I started following you before you were Catholic. So glad to see how much you've grown." I really do treasure people like this, because sometimes people don't like change. Of course, change is not intrinsically good. You know, things can change for the worse, but things can also change for the better. But even when it's for the better, that can be controversial and upsetting to many people. So the fact that so many of you are still here really gives me a sense of warmth, and I do wish to reciprocate that. I am working on the songs that still need to be re-uploaded, which, by the way, I want to get y'all's thoughts on some of the lyric changes before I actually start recording the vocals. So if you would like to give me your thoughts on what I have in mind, and please do, then please read the description down below. Thank you for being awesome. Until next time, God bless you.